Nerdist News is sponsored by Mortal Kombat 11. It's the spoiler-free Avengers Endgame review Roundup. We're in the Endgame now. Avengers Endgame, that is. This week we get to see the culmination of 11 years of storytelling in 22 films with the latest entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. After last year's Avengers Infinity War ended with a small shocker.
I don't want to go, sir, please.
Fans are desperate for any word on how Avengers Endgame shakes out. Well, reviews are now starting to pour in, and the question has to be asked, was it worth the wait?
Yeah. Yes. No.
So get ready, we're rounding up the good, the bad, and the ugly. But don't worry about spoilers. We've vetted these reviews and reactions to make sure that we #don't spoil the endgame. So with that, what's the general consensus? Well, good news, Marvel fans. For the most part, everybody seems to have enjoyed it.
I like this one.
Yes, you can finally stop holding your breath. As Nerdist's own Kyle Anderson outlined in his review, Avengers Endgame is more than just the second part of a cliffhanger. It's a celebration of the entire 21-movie saga. In fact, it's this theme of being the end of an era that pops up again and again throughout most of the reviews, which is what most fans seem to be hoping for, with Slash Films' Chris Evangelista calling it an epic culmination of every Marvel Cinematic Universe entry that's come before, along with Charles Barfield over at The Playlist recommending having seen all 21 of the previous films, or you're going to miss just about every emotional beat, every in-joke, and every callback, of which there are many. So how does Endgame deal with all of our remaining heroes' very complicated emotions after the devastating events of Infinity War? Well, back to Kyle's review for Nerdist. He praises the way the characters are handled in the film, saying what the commercials don't show is how much time is devoted to these characters as individuals, as each other's adopted family. At this point, we love them, we're worried for them, and that's something I didn't think was possible even a year ago. Susanna Polo at Polygon says, Endgame reminded me that I still care about Captain America and Iron Man by taking the time to show me why I should. Of course, it's no secret that this is Marvel's biggest and longest project yet, clocking in at a cool 3 hours and 2 minutes, so you may be wondering if the movie feels that long. IGN's Laura Prudhomme had this to say, considering how dense it is, and truly, Endgame packs a lot into that supersized runtime, on first watch, the pacing feels tighter than Infinity Wars, and it doesn't outstay its welcome the way Lord of the Rings Return of the King did. And IO9's Germaine Lucier says it's a 3-hour adrenaline shot to the heart featuring mysteries solved, consequences suffered, shock, awe, and delight. However, not everyone was in love with the length, with Polygon's Susanna Polo mentioning the drag of the first 20 minutes, which directly follows up the events of Infinity War. There is still no getting around the fact that 3 hours is too long to spend in a theater, and as with most superhero movies, the final confrontation is a bit of a mess of punching and yelling. In terms of the massive scope of Endgame, many reactions were quick to praise the Russo brothers for pulling off a cohesive conclusion. Film and TV critic Kevin McCarthy tweeted about the impressive scale of the movie, saying the scope of Avengers Endgame is impossible to put into words. What Feige and MCU achieved over the last 10 years has led to this gloriously masterful moment in cinema, and it's truly mind-blowing how beautifully paced this storytelling is. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Meanwhile, The Atlantic's David Sims called Endgame a proper goodbye and complimented the Russo brothers' deft skill. For viewers, much of the joy will come from watching the movie pull it all off, effortlessly tying most of the series' narrative threads into a satisfying knot. However, there were those who did not find that the movie successfully handled just how epic it was trying to be. According to Collider's Perry Nemiroff, Avengers Endgame is a lot, too much at times, but wow, the payoff is huge. Left me proud to have invested over a decade in a franchise that delivers an inspiring exploration of what it means to be family and a hero. Speaking of heroes, it wouldn't be a Marvel movie without its Easter eggs. MCU and hardcore comics fans alike will be pleased that there is that signature sprinkling of Marvel goodies across Endgame. We won't spoil any here, but keep your eyes peeled. Of course, Easter eggs are great, but do you need to have a deep knowledge of 22 films in order to get all of the references? Probably. Laura Prudhomme over at IGN says, overall, this is a movie that rewards your knowledge of the MCU in its entirety, so you might want to dust off those old copies of Thor, The Dark World, and Iron Man 3. So for the most part, that was all the good. But was there anything bad? Like most films, there were some dissenters and criticisms amongst all the good. The Atlantic's David Sims points out that some of the action is a little stale. The action has the usual bland competence of Marvel movies, something even outstanding entries such as Black Panther struggled to dodge. Slash Films' Chris Evangelista had some issues with Endgame's scripting and dialogue, specifically noting that some of the humor fell flat. There's plenty of room for a sense of humor in a movie of this nature, but there's something tiresome about characters constantly tossing off wisecracks, no matter what terrible, depressing situation they're in. It brings a cold, detached irony to the proceedings, as if these characters are shrugging and saying, yeah, sure, this stuff is crazy, but who cares? Now that reviews and reactions are out in the wild of the internet, remember to avoid spoilers. As Laura in her IGN review warns us, the less you know going into Avengers Endgame, the more you're likely to enjoy it. We're almost at the finish line. You got this. Be smart, be safe, and remember, like Doctor Strange said,
we're in the Endgame now.
What do you folks think? Are you buying into the Avengers Endgame hype? How many times are you planning on seeing it? And do you hope that Avengers Endgame's runtime means that Star Wars Episode 9 will also be 3 hours?
Yeah. Yes. No.
Let's discuss. Thanks to Mortal Kombat 11 for sponsoring today's episode. From NetherRealm Studios comes the latest installment in the critically acclaimed franchise, providing a deeper and more personalized experience than ever before. The all-new custom character variations give you unprecedented control of your fighters to make them your own. Featuring a roster of new and returning classic fighters like Baraka and Scorpion, Mortal Kombat's best-in-class cinematic story mode continues the epic saga over 25 years in the making. Mortal Kombat 11 is in stores now for PS4, Xbox One, PC, and even Nintendo Switch. So go check it out.